She was just a maid, scrubbing floors in a billionaire's mansion in a quiet Igbo village, until she overheard a secret that could destroy an empire and her entire community. One wrong move and her life and her village would be gone forever. Stay until the end for a twist that will leave you speechless. In Umuofia, a small Igbo village in Anambra State, Nigeria, the harmattan winds carried dust through the air, painting the mud brick compounds in shades of ochre. The village hummed with life. Children chased goats through narrow paths. Women pounded yam in wide mortars, and the distant beat of Uda drums signaled the approaching New Yam Festival. The scent of egusi soup and roasted plantain wafted from open fires, mingling with the earthy smell of the red soil. Umuofia was a place of tradition where elders held court under the ancient Irako tree and ancestors whispered in the rustle of palm leaves. But over the village loomed a shadow, a glass and marble mansion that seemed to belong to another world. Ada Nwosu, a 22-year-old with eyes sharp as a hawk's and a heart heavy with duty, lived in a crumbling hut with her mother, Mama Nkechi. Adiku's beauty was the talk of Umuofia. Her skin gleamed like polished ebony. Her smile could hush a crying child. But beauty meant little when your hands were rough from years of labor. Her father had died when she was 10, taken by a fever the local healer couldn't cure, leaving Adiku to care for Mama Nkechi, whose coughs grew worse with each passing season. The village doctor, a kind but overworked man named Dr. Obi, had warned that Mama Nkechi needed treatment in Onitsha, but the cost, hundreds of thousands of naira, was a dream beyond Adiku's reach. Adiku worked as a maid for Chief Emeka Okonkwo, a billionaire whose wealth cast a long shadow over Umuofia. Chief Emeka, in his 50s, had a voice like rolling thunder and a belly swollen from years of feasts in Lagos. His agbada shimmered with gold thread, and his wristwatch glinted under the sun, a symbol of his oil wealth. He had returned to Umuofia 5 years ago, building his mansion on the village's edge, a fortress of glass that clashed with the mud huts around it. The elders whispered that his fortune came from land deals, but darker rumors spoke of juju O's and stolen sacred grounds. His wife, Lolo Amara, was a city woman, her geli always high, her lips painted crimson, her words sharp as machete. Together, they were Umuofia's untouchable elite, their mansion a place of secrets. Adiku's days began before dawn, when the roosters crowed and the village was still cloaked in mist. She trekked a mile to the mansion, her worn slippers slapping the dirt path, her headscarf tied tightly to keep out the dust. Her work was endless, sweeping tile floors, washing Lolo silk wrappers, scrubbing pots until her fingers ached. She earned 5,000 naira a month, barely enough to buy rice and medicine for Mama Nkechi. The other maids, Chinyu and Ugochi, were her only solace. Chinyu, with her quick laugh and love for gossip, dreamed of opening a hair salon in Onitsha. Ugochi, quiet and devout, prayed under her breath, hoping to become a nurse. Adiku's dream was simpler, to save enough for Mama Nkechi's treatment. But in Umuofia, dreams were like rain in the dry season, rare and fleeting. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the village prepared for the New Yam Festival, Adiku was polishing the mahogany table in Chief Emeka's study. The room was forbidden to maids unless ordered, but Lolo had demanded it spotless for a guest, an important man from Abuja, she'd said. Adiku worked quickly, her rag gliding over the wood, the scent of polish mixing with the faint musk of old books. The study was a shrine to Chief Emeka's wealth. Shelves lined with leather-bound ledgers, a gold-framed portrait of him shaking hands with Governor, a locked drawer that no one dared touch. She was nearly done when voices drifted through the cracked window. Adiku froze, her rag still in hand. It was Chief Emeka and a stranger, their words low but sharp, carried by the evening breeze. "You'll sign the land over or your family will pay," the stranger said, his voice cold as a river stone. "It's not simple," Chief Emeka replied, his tone tight. "The elders are asking questions. They know that land was sacred." "Then handle it," the stranger snapped. "Marry her off to seal the deal. No one will suspect a thing." "Marry who?" Chief Emeka asked, irritation creeping into his voice. "You know who. A girl. Someone disposable. Make it look real." Adiku's heart thudded so loudly, she feared they'd hear it. She ducked behind the heavy velvet curtains, her breath shallow. Footsteps approached, and the study door creaked open. Chief Emeka entered. His phone pressed his ear. Yes, I'll find someone a maid, maybe. Someone no one will miss. He paused and laughed, a cruel, hollow sound that sent a shiver down Atticu's spine. The land is worth billions. What's one girl? Atticu pressed herself against the wall, the curtains shielding her. A maid? A fake marriage? Land worth billions? Her mind raced to the sacred grove near the village stream, where the ancestors were said to rest. The grove was a place of reverence, where women prayed for fertility and men sought wisdom. 2 years ago, Chief Emeka's company, Okonkwo Ventures, had claimed it for a housing estate, promising jobs and progress. The elders had protested, but money silenced most. The stream had grown murky since, and some, like Mama Nkechi, fell ill. Atticu had heard whispers of a curse, but she dismissed them until now. She waited until the voices faded, then slipped out of the study, her legs trembling. In the kitchen, Chinyu noticed her pale face. Atticu, what's wrong? You look like you've seen in Muo. Nothing. Atticu lied, forcing a smile. She couldn't tell Chinyu or Gochi, not yet. If Chief Emeka was willing to use a maid as a pawn, she could be next. She needed to think, to plan. That night, Atticu lay on her mat in the hut she shared with Mama Nkechi, the sound of her mother's coughs keeping sleep at bay. The village was alive with festival preparations. Drums echoed, women sang, and the scent of roasted yam drifted through the air. Atticu's mind churned. She couldn't ignore what she'd heard, but confronting Chief Emeka was suicide. He owned the police, the market, even some elders. She needed proof, something to protect herself and her village. The next morning, Lolo Amara summoned Atticu to the parlor, a room dripping with opulence. Crystal chandeliers, imported rugs, a flat-screen TV larger than Atticu's hut. Lolo sat on a velvet sofa, her gelly towering, her eyes glinting like a cat's. Atticu, you're a pretty girl, she said, her voice sweet but cold. How would you like to be a wife instead of maid? Atticu's stomach twisted. Ma! She stammered, her hands clasped to hide their trembling. A business associate of my husband needs a bride, Lolo said, inspecting her manicured nails. It's just for show, a ceremony to seal a deal. You'll live in luxury for a few months, then return to your life. With money, of course. Her smile was a blade, sharp and untrustworthy. Atticu's mind flashed to the study, to Chief Emeka's words. Someone no one will miss. This was no offer. It was a trap, a way to silence her or use her in their scheme. I need to think, Ma, she said, bowing her head to hide her fear. Don't think too long, Lolo snapped, her sweetness gone. Opportunities like this don't come to girls like you. Atticu left the parlor, her heart a drumbeat. She knew refusing outright would raise suspicion. She needed to play their game, to be clever. That evening, she sought out Mama Ngozi, the village's oldest woman, a griot whose stories held the weight of generations. Mama Ngozi lived at the edge of Umwofia, her hut surrounded by yam fields, her walls adorned with cowrie shells and faded photos. Atticu found her weaving palm fronds under a mango tree, her eyes milky but sharp. Child, why do you tremble? Mama Ngozi asked, her voice like dry leaves rustling. Atticu knelt, whispering her story. The voices in the study, Lolo's offer, the sacred land. They want to use me, Mama. I don't know what to do. Mama Ngozi's fingers paused on the fronds. Wealth built on lies is a house on sand, she said. If you fight, you must be clever. The ancestors watch, but they favor the bold. She reached into her wrapper and pulled out a small charm, a woven bracelet with cowrie shells, glinting in the moonlight. Keep this close. It will guide you. Atticu clutched the bracelet, its weight grounding her. She returned home, her mind racing. She couldn't run. Where would she go? But she could watch, listen, gather truth. Over the next days, she became a shadow in the mansion, her eyes and ears open. She noticed a stranger from the study, a tall man in a tailored bata. Introduced as Mr. Rahim, a mining tycoon from Abuja. He visited often, always with a locked briefcase, his smile never reaching his eyes. She overheard Lolo and Chief Emeka arguing in hushed tones about the Abuja deal and keeping the girl quiet. And she saw Obinna, the billionaire's driver, a burly man with a scar across his cheek, sneaking papers into the locked drawer in the study. The New Yam Festival arrived, transforming Umwofia into a ride of color and sound. Masquerades danced through the square, their raffia skirts swirling, their masks carved with fierce expressions. Women in vibrant wrappers carried baskets of yams to the shrine, while men drank palm wine and debated under the Irako tree. Ataku, tasked with serving guests at the mansion, saw her chance. Chief Emeka would be distracted, hosting dignitaries. She slipped into the study, her heart pounding, and approached the locked drawer. Using a hairpin she borrowed from Chinyu, she jimmied the lock, her hands slick with sweat. Inside, she found a ledger, pages filled with names, dates, payments, bribes to officials, hush money to elders, and a note in Chief Emeka's scrawl. The marriage must happen by the full moon. She must not speak. There was more, a contract for the sacred land, not for a housing estate, but for a mining operation by Apex Ventures, Mr. Ibrahim's company. The operation would strip the grove, pollute the stream, and displace half the village. Attica's hand shook, her mother's cough, the village's murky water. It was all connected. She pulled out her battered phone, a second-hand Nokia with a cracked screen, and snapped photos of the documents. The full moon was 3 days away. She had to act fast. As she turned to leave, a shadow filled the doorway. Obinna, his scar glinting in the lamplight, stared at her. "What are you doing, Ataku?" I was cleaning," she stammered, slipping the phone into her wrapper. "You're a bad liar," Obinna growled, stepping closer. "Hand it over." Attica bolted, ducking under his arm and racing into the night. The festival drums masked her footsteps as she wove through the crowd, past masquerades and laughing children. She reached Mama Ngozi's hut, gasping, and showed her the photos. "They're selling our land," she whispered, "and they want me to marry someone to hide it." Mama Ngozi's eyes gleamed. "You've done well, child. Take this to Elder Okoye. He's fair, but beware, Emeka's money buys loyalty." The next morning, Attica found Elder Okoye at the village shrine, offering kola nuts to the ancestors. His face was lined with years of wisdom, his voice calm but firm. She showed him the photos, her voice steady despite her fear. "Chief Emeka is betraying us," she said. "The land, the stream, it's all at risk." Elder Okoye's face darkened. "This is grave," he said, "but photos aren't enough. We need more to challenge him." Attica nodded, her mind racing. She had an idea, a dangerous one. She returned to the mansion and sought out Lolo. "Ma, I'll do it," she said, her voice meek. "I'll be the bride." Lolo's eyes lit up. "Good girl, you'll meet the man tomorrow. We're something nice." The meeting was set for the festival's final night, in a lavish tent pitched in the mansion's courtyard. Attica borrowed a wrapper from Chinyu, its green and gold folds hiding her trembling hands. She tucked her phone into her hair, secured with a scarf, and wore Mama Ngozi's Kaura bracelet under her sleeve. Mr. Ibrahim sat across from her, his Igbada pristine, his smile predatory. Chief Emeka and Lolo flanked him, their eyes watchful. "You'll make a fine bride," Mr. Ibrahim said, sipping palm wine. "The marriage will bless the deal. The village will celebrate." Attica nodded, her face blank, but her phone recorded every word. Mr. Ibrahim spoke freely, assuming her silence. "The mining will start after the ceremony," he said. "The elders won't suspect a thing." Chief Emeka chuckled. "She's perfect, nobody disposable." Attica's heart burned, but she kept her composure. That night, she sent the recording to Chinyu, whose cousin Kalechi ran a blog in Onitsha. "Post it," she whispered over the phone. "Let the world hear." By dawn, Umwofia was in uproar. Kalechi's blog post, titled "Billionaire's Betrayal in Umwofia," spread across WhatsApp and Twitter, with hashtag Umwofia Land Scam trending. Villagers gathered at the square, their voices rising like a storm. Women clutched their wrappers, men shook their fists, and children whispered in awe. Chief Emeka arrived, his face a mask of fury, but Elder Okoye stepped forward, holding up Atika's photos. "The ancestors will judge you," he thundered. Lolo screamed at Atiku, calling her a traitor, but the village women surrounded her, their voices a chorus of defiance. Mama Ngozi raised her staff, her eyes fierce. "This child has spoken for us all." The police arrived from Onitsha, summoned by the blog's reach. Chief Emeka and Mr. Ibrahim were questioned, their empire unraveling. The sacred land was returned to Umwofia, and the stream was cleaned. Atiku, trembling but unbroken, stood with her village, the cowrie bracelet glinting in the sun. Months later, Mama Nkechi received treatment in Onitsha, funded by donations from villagers inspired by Atika's courage. The mansion stood empty, Chief Emeka and Lolo shunned. Atiku refused the title of hero. "I just wanted to save my home," she said, her voice soft but firm. Atiku was a maid, but she became a warrior. Her courage saved Umwofia. Subscribe for more true Nigerian stories, and share this if you believe in justice.